I am. Hello, hello, hello. So apparently we're having trouble streaming to Facebook really quick. Let's see. Can I edit this? What can I do here? I don't even know. Welcome to Mercury Retrograde. So if you're watching on YouTube, yay, I will be, I guess, sharing this onto Facebook. I wonder if I can do that right now, y'all. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. Since I have you here and, you know, well, let's see. Today is August 14th, some 15th. Today is August 15th, and um, we're in the Mercury retrograde shadow. I don't know about y'all, but technology has not been a friend recently. And just, you know, seeing that happen now, my Facebook connection, I literally, right before I came on here, it was like, hey, we're gonna disconnect your Facebook stuff in 2 days. And I was like, oh, okay. And it says reconnect here. So I did all the reconnecty things and it was like, you're good to go. And now I'm not good to go. So let's see if this helps. Let's see. Um, Sharing this week's video. You know what? I'm gonna just upload it later. We'll just get down to business. But yeah, for whatever reason, not streaming to Facebook today. So hopefully you'll be able to come on over to YouTube. Let's see. For some reason, the live stream doesn't want to stream to Facebook today. So please join me over on my YouTube channel. Thanks. And we will add a picture because people like pictures, right? Who's here? Probably Sharon. Hey, Sharon. Boo. Yeah, boo. Ah, girl. Ah, big time, right? So let's see. Add my thing here. Oh my goodness, y'all. It is a funny thing. Let's see. This week's stuff. Nope, that's not it. And of course, I can't find any of the thingies. I think this is it. Yeah. Let's see. I think it's this one. This one. Quick look. Quick look. Nope, not that one. That's funny. Bum, bum, bum. Maybe this one? No. I love how you guys get to watch me do this. Every once in a while, we have a little bit of technical difficulty. And so things have to, we have to just kind of move things around. There it is. That's the one we want. Okay, we're going to put that there. Put the link. Come on over, everybody, and join us on YouTube if you can. Alrighty. So just shared that on the Facebook because whatever reason, even though I literally clicked reconnect, did not reconnect. I don't know. Anyways, welcome to this week's live stream on my YouTube channel only this week. I am Soul Coach Michelle. This is Soul Coach Studio channel. And today we are going to talk about something I think is really interesting because we talk a lot about it, but we don't do a whole lot. And I want to get into why and how to fix it and how to be in awareness about it and all that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of us, and this, I want to be really clear. Although, yes, my sweet spot is helping people who are women woopreneurs and spiritual side hustlers kind of nurture the light leader within them. I'm not here to teach you about how to run your business. Yes, I can share information about, how I do mine with my folks and like the practical side of stuff, but I do spiritual, practical, and no BS. And I like to lean more into the spiritual because I think that is where, and it's so funny, because I forgot that myself today and over the past couple of weeks. So, and I try to lean into the spiritual more than the practical because the practical is super easy. In fact, I was talking with a client yesterday about it, and she was like, okay, I did this and this and this. What's next? And I'm like, well, what's next is we deal with the energy. And she was like, oh, because it's super easy to like have the to-do list, to go down to the to-do list of do your banking, run your payroll, make sure that you're posting on the social, make sure that your stuff works. Make sure that, like, you have all these lists, but are we tending to the light worker within us, the light leader that is the driving engine of whether it be your own business, if you are the light leader in your work community. Like, I remember when I used to work at a company, and when I left there, they said they were sad because whenever I walked in the room, everybody else's energy lit up because I would bring that light with them and create a fun atmosphere. So you have to nurture that kind of stuff within you, because if you're out there giving everybody else like that light that shines, that makes everybody happy and they want to be around you, you got to go home and recharge. So that's what I like to do. It's like doing that light, the light leader self nurturing, which I don't think a lot of business coaches do. So I thought to myself, we have so many, whether it be in the woopreneur community, which, because most coaches are a little on the woo woo side. I know several that are not, but that no matter what's going on, a lot of times it's like I'm coaching you how to run your business. And since there's more than enough people out there doing that, and I am not a business strategist by any means, but I am a spiritual strategist, and I know how to, like, kind of, I don't always do it perfectly, but I know what you're supposed to be doing. And I've traveled this road for 50 some odd years. So my role is more about nurturing and helping you, the light leader, whether you're a light leader as a woopreneur, a light leader in your workspace, in your family, helping you nurture that within you, because 9 times out of 10, we're always giving our energy away to other people because we want them to be happy. We want them to, that's like, we feel like that's our role. And then being accountable to our own selves is usually the last thing on the list. So that's why I created the Celestial Soul Circle, which we are actually meeting later tonight to do our new moon gathering. We do a lot of focus on the retrogrades and the moon. So it's a lot of, like, I hate to call it shadow work because that sounds kind of scary, but it's much more like being in awareness of self and nurturing that divine feminine within. So that's what we're doing. And part of the reason why I bring that up today is because our topic today is sacred self-care and the alchemy of manifesting success. Because a lot of times we have been programmed to believe that you got to work yourself into, just absolute burnout to get anywhere. And quite frankly, that's crap. And I'm exhibit A. So when I used to work in the legal field, I mean, I worked at a company that was ironically a dialysis company, and I worked in the corporate headquarters. And the big joke about the legal department was that we had the best kidneys in the business because we never left our desks. But the irony of that is our well-being was not super great because we didn't leave for lunch, we didn't take our breaks, we just kept churning the work. And so, and even when we'd have business retreats, it was still work oriented. So there was not a lot of, like, in corporate America, there's not a lot of emphasis on taking your well-being. And in fact, I read an article recently where businesses are cutting back now and they're taking away all of those well-being perks that kind of came into fashion right after COVID subsided, and they were trying to lure people back into the workplace and all this. So all the well-being days, or any of, like, any allotment that was set aside for folks to either seek therapy or go have a retreat day or whatever, all that stuff is going away because they're seeing it as um, not supporting their revenue. So the corporate mentality is churn, churn, churn. And then you've seen that drip over, if you are an entrepreneur of any kind, you've seen that kind of drip over into that same, like, gurus, where you're watching these gurus that are coaches teaching other coaches how to run their business. And it's churn, 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 hustle, grind, hustle, grind, hustle, grind. Well, I can tell you, after, I think I'm coming up on 6 years, or maybe it's 7, doing this, being full-time in my business. And quite frankly, I did that probably, I got out of corporate. I spent the first year trying to figure out, like, what the hell did I just do? The second year, I was listening to all of the trendy gurus at the time, which if I named them, you'd probably know them, but I don't want to say anybody's names. But I'll just say you would know them. But what they don't tell you is they got like a team of 40 behind them. And usually they're catering to a client um, pool of folks like me and maybe you that are just all on your own, that you're a one woman show. And so doing all the things that they're telling you to do just leads to burnout, because if you had to do all the stuff all the time, all day long, every single day, there's no way. So, there are practical ways of dealing with that, but what I want to get to is the antithesis of this, especially with we have a new moon. Like I said, today is August 15th, 2023. So new moon tomorrow morning at like 4:30 in the morning in Central Time. Um, and even though it's in Leo, which tends to be a yang energy, which is masculine, because of the other backdrops, celestial backdrops in the sky, it is actually inviting us to step more and more into our feminine energy. Whether, and just remember, doesn't matter if what your physical gender is, everyone has feminine and masculine energy. And there's been, I think we have all talked about the imbalance that's been out there. So this is kind of, I feel like from, channeled energies this morning, because I was working on putting together the channeled messages for the Celestial Soul Circle tonight that we're doing for New Moon. And one of the things that came up was that this is helping to right the imbalance and bring up the, people are all about the patriarchy and everything. And like, I want to be really clear, that's low vibrational masculine energy. It's not divine masculine. There's a difference. And divine masculine, I want everyone to be okay with. And being is divine masculine in balance with divine feminine is beautiful. So there's nothing wrong with the masculine energy. It's just been out of balance for quite some time. And if we are sitting in low feminine, divine feminine energy, then we're giving them crap that we don't need to be giving them. So this energy for this Leo new moon and the other stuff that's going on in the sky, it gives a supportive energy around bringing all that back into balance, meaning instead of focusing on knowledge, logic, power over other, which is that lower vibrational masculine energy, if we can all, men, women, all genders, can tap more into that divine feminine energy, which is more about wisdom, intuition, and being self empowered or self possessed, knowing yourself, being in your solar plexus, basically. Um, and when we do that, we have a tendency to kind of clash up with that corporate mentality of churn, hustle, churn, grind. And that creates burnout. And I'll tell you what, I was the queen of burnout. I remember I would go, 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 go. And Darren can tell you there were days where I would just come home, stare at the ceiling fan. And some weekends, I would spend an entire day in bed because there was nothing left. I had poured out my whole cup at the office, and there is no recharge there whatsoever for me, or there wasn't. And I didn't realize that that was harmful, even though I was feeling like crap. And then when I did, and I left there and I thought, I'm going to do my own thing. But I took that mentality with me into my business because it was a program. It took quite some time to get in awareness of when I was doing that to myself. And so, what I started doing, first of all, the first thing after I came into awareness of this was, okay, if I'm going to be my own boss, I want to be the boss that I love the most. So who is that on in my thought paradigm and experience paradigm? Who was my favorite boss? And I had two. One was the district attorney that I worked for way back in the early, late, mid 90s, whenever it was. He was amazing. And then there was another lady that I worked for in the music business, and her name was Roxanne. And if you're watching, I love you so much. And you were my favorite boss, you and he. And so when I was feeling like crap in my business, I'd be like, which boss is in charge right now? And I would think of, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get in trouble, but there's a list of bosses that I used to work for that were like the kind of bosses that I didn't want to work for. And so I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm this one or that one. I need to do like, instead of like, WWJD, I'd be like, well, what would Roxanne do? And like, I would think about it and I'd say, if I was going to embody Roxanne as a boss for myself right now, what would she tell me to do? And I would do that. So, number one, to get out of that programming is when you feel like crap, realize you're treating yourself like the worst boss. And this could be in your life because you're the CEO of your life too. You're the CEO of your life. You're the CEO of your business. If that's what you are, you're the CEO all the way around. So if you are beating yourself up. If you feel like shit and all this other kind of stuff, you have to say to yourself, okay, if I'm the CEO of my life, which version of CEO am I being right now? Because, like, you have different ones from your life experience. And which one do I want to be? So there's that. Now, the self care end of it is usually I remember times when I worked for Roxanne and things would happen, and she'd be like, honey, just take the day off. Honey, take a sick day. When stuff would go on with the family, she'd be like, she'd hand me like so much money. She'd be like, go handle it. Like she was the best boss ever. She was like like, she wasn't just a boss. It was like, she was like your fun aunt that made sure everything was okay. And so to me, that was such a blessing because even now, I think I haven't worked for her in probably, oh gosh, I'm not even going to say it because that would make us both much older. But she was there to be a buffer so that I didn't burn out. And I have to remember where in me is where can I be a buffer for myself? And that's where the self care comes in. So we all, as woo-woos, probably have a list of self-care items we like to do, whether, the typical get a massage, get reflexology, go get your nails did, whatever. And it might even be like go walk with nature, burn some sage, whatever your self-care stuff is. There's this list. I mean, for me, I'm a Virgo, so it was like I just did my banking, like I reconciled some banking stuff today, and that felt really good. Um, I also, because I'm a Virgo, is also I like nurturing. So cooking is my thing. I'm also kitchen witchy. So the first thing I did to do some self-care because I was so burnt out because we had the house on the market, then we took the house off the market, and that decompression was just weird. And then I was like, crap, this isn't working in my business and that isn't working. And I would just try and fix and fix and fix. And then it was just like so much fixing and I would burn out and my eyes would hurt. So at one point, I finally just stopped and I was talking to a friend about this. And I'm like, and this, and that, and this. And she goes, you know what? What if you took tomorrow off? I'm like, I can't because I got to write my newsletter and I got to do all the things. And she said, so what would happen if you didn't? What if you just waited? Like, what if you did that on Saturday? Or what if you did it on Monday when you felt better? What if you just took Friday and took care of yourself and did something that was self care-ish for you? And I thought, oh, you know what? What if I didn't write my newsletter on Friday? So what? Who's going to get mad? Like, I know there are folks out there, I've gotten emails when I haven't done a video or I haven't sent an email. People have sent me notes and been like, hey, you okay? We haven't seen you, blah, blah, blah. And so, there's that. But if I don't say anything, but the fact is that at the end of the day, it is my choice whether or not, and it's your choice too, to either keep the balls juggling or to kind of grab them, set them down for a minute and just get your bearings. So what I did was, and I know this may not be for everybody, but what I'm going to say is I'm going to share what I did, but there's a process behind this that I want to share that I think is really important. So it's really fun. The first thing that happened was on that Friday, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take my balls. I'm going to stop juggling them and I'm going to put them down because they'll be right where I left them. They're always going to be there. And it was so interesting because I thought, you know what? I'm going to make chicken broth because I have none. I hadn't done any canning whatsoever or cooking during the time the house was on the market because at any moment somebody could like walk in and be like, hey, I want to look at your house. And, canning and cooking is a long process. So you can't do that. And it just was like all my self-care that I really leaned into, I couldn't do. So I thought, you know what, first things first, I'm going to replenish my chicken broth because I haven't done it in a while. We had chicken last night. I have the bones and all the things. So I threw them all in the Instapot with the things that I cooked the chicken broth with, and I made some. And then I canned it. I canned probably 5 quarts of chicken broth, which it was exquisite. I know that this sounds kind of goofy to some people, but the fact is that that's my self-care. And the fact that I took action is self-kindness. Okay, so I want to be really clear. Self-care is the list of stuff that you know recharges your batteries. So for me, cooking, canning, making sure my family is well loved and nurtured. The self-kindness is actually putting it in your calendar to do it and then actually doing it. So it's like the inspired action towards your self-care. So another thing that happened that day, and my nose is so itchy, y'all. So um was that night we had planned to go to the shop I do readings at to do a painting class. And oh my God, the traffic there, I just was like, turn around, it's so stressful, turn around. Darren's like, nope, we're persevering, we're gonna go. And I was grateful that he did that because, oh, excuse me, my nose is so itchy, y'all. They're mowing all the yard outside. That's why I'm wearing these so you can't hear it. Um, ooh, goodness me. Sorry. Itchy nose. Mm. Sorry, I know it's a delight to watch me do this, but anyway. Um, mm. So we go to this painting thing, right? And so this is where I'm saying doing your self care yields opportunity. So I got my energy straight by doing the canning, by doing whatever that thing was that nurtured my soul, was nurturing the others, nurturing my soul, feeling good about having it in the pantry, all that kind of stuff. And the other thing that's really interesting, I've been reading like my Italian folk magic book because trying to reconnect with my own ancestry. And one of the things in there is they talk about making broth and how broth is this healing energy, whether, and they joke about like whether, the person got sick and the doctor couldn't figure out how to fix them or whatever. And you come home and you make the broth and, and whether it's 3 days or 3 months and the person gets better and everybody's like, it's the broth. And it was so funny because I had just done that because I listened to that on my way to doing readings at the shop on Saturday. Anyway, so Friday night, I get my energy right doing the broth thing. And then Friday night, we end up at this painting class. And while we're there, because I was trying to think to myself, like, I really need to like kind of get back out into the fray. This whole COVID business from the last several years kind of knocked everybody for a loop. And I feel like, it's time for me to get out there. So I've been doing that a little bit more. And I was like, I wonder where I can teach a class. I wonder if I can do a sound bath somewhere, and just kind of like pondering this in my head. And we get there and we're painting, we're doing all this stuff. And the owners of the shop are like, Michelle, are you going to come and teach classes here again? So, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I forgot that I used to do that. So, yeah, I said, I'll put a list together and we'll talk about it and I'll send it to them. I still have to do it. But the fact is that what I'm trying to get at is this: it's really about the intention that you're setting. So, when you're doing the hustle and the grinding and the working your fingers to the bone in your business, at your job, toiling away, whatever you're doing without, because I have to, I gotta do this. It's like this uphill battle kind of feeling. And the thing is that that intention, that energy just makes it harder and harder and pushes away the things we want. So if you're getting to that point where you're burning out like that, it's time to step back. And most people think, oh my gosh, if I take a step back, my business will go down the tubes, or my boss will think I'm lazy, or any of that crap. And the fact is that, you know what? A, your business will not go down the tubes. And B, even if your boss does think you're lazy, the fact is they might be happier when you come back recharged because you'll be twice as productive. But who knows? But the bottom line is, whatever they're thinking, it's irrelevant because you need to take care of you. You need to do whatever you can to take care of you. And stepping into the self care, which is counterintuitive, well, it's actually counter programming. It's intuitive, actually, but counter programming um, is what needs to happen. And notice what happened in mine. So I rebalanced myself by cooking because I know that was my big go to. Like I have about 6 pounds of green beans in the fridge right now that I'm going to can probably tomorrow. Um, that'll make me happy again because I'm like, we have no green beans, and Darren likes mine better than the canned one. I like mine better than the canned ones. So when the can in the aluminum, I like the ones in the glass jar that I make, and I know where I got them. All that kind of stuff makes me really happy. Makes me feel like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm part of the creation or creating or whatever. And anyway, so when you figure out your self care activity, if you it opens you up because you're being really focused, like if you're being creative and painting or cooking or any of that, um you're kind of in a meditative state because you are focused on one thing, you're in the present moment, and that creates this lovely energy that lets go of any worry, any regret, which is worry is future, regret is past. It lets go of all of that. And you're not really thinking about all of the strategies that you're trying to practice in your business or at work. It allows you to just be you in that self care moment. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times, especially us ladies, don't do it. I know I'm guilty of this, which is why, I'm better at it than I was, but it's also why I still burn out from time to time. And that's when you got to step back and say, okay, get out my self-care list. And you might want to make one and keep it somewhere. Like what, and you can add to it, like when you find new things that you like to do that make you feel re-energized. So there's the first step, which is create a list of the activities that you like to do that are self-care oriented, that are specific to you and your self-care. Like we might all like, one of my besties and I like to go get reflexology once a month. And it's one of my favorite things. We go in and we get the CEO package. I think she does the where they stick the rods in the foot bath and it does this ionic thing. And I like the CEO package because I that for me the water gets slimy and I'm like, ew. So I don't like it. She likes it because it's like draws out toxins and junk. But I like the bath fizzies that they put in there. So I do that one. And we love that. That's one. I mean, but I think everybody likes a good foot massage, you know, pedicure, all that kind of stuff. But then there's other stuff that's kind of unique to you. Like, not everybody likes canning, and people think it's hard or old fashioned, which is fine. And I'm happy to explain that to anybody if they ever want to know. But I love it. I love the fact that I think it also comes down to my love language, which is um, acts of service. So if my love language is acts of service and I can create meals or ingredients that I know where they came from, I made them, I know what they taste like, and I can create them and put them on the shelf for me and also create things where if I'm not home, Darren just grab it and put it in a pot or whatever, or I can do the same thing if he's like not going to be home and I can just open something that I know is good for me, but also tastes good. That's almost like me is being of service to future me. I also make stuff and put it in jars for my family. So it's like it kind of does that access service. Plus, I'm also usually cooking something with water. So my Pisces moon is super happy. I'm using intuition to cook things. And when you incorporate your moon sign with your love language and you kind of get this map of what your self-care needs to be for you that is uniquely you and not just like pedis and manicures and or pedicures and massages and stuff like that. You can kind of create a better picture. So create that list. Step 1, create the list of self-care items. Step 2, oh, yeah, step 1A, 1B. 1B is review your list and maybe pick the one thing that you're feeling your intuition is telling you you need right now. Then number 2 is the self-kindness step because self-care is all fine and good, but if we're not doing self-kindness, we're not getting anywhere. So self-care is the idea, self-kindness is the action. Because when we're kind to ourselves and we're stepping into that self-care activity, that's where we do the recharge. So know that your self-care is like, here's the idea of what I want to do. The self-kindness is you saying to yourself, you know what, I'm worthy to do this. I'm going to put on my calendar of when I'm going to go do this, schedule it. So you make your list, pick your activity, schedule it so that it is there. Maybe if you're one of those people like I tend to be, get an accountability buddy for making sure that you do it. So if you're supposed to go to do something or you're supposed to do something to yourself and you or that's on your self-care list and you're like kind of wishy-washy about it, maybe tell a friend that you're going to go do it and ask them to check in with you the next day to make sure it got done so that you know that you're going to do it. And then kind of like as you're participating in this, yes, you're in the present moment, but also be in observer mode. See what happens in your energy. Maybe see what happens as you interact with other people while you're in that energy. Review and reflect on your experience. So you might journal what transpired, what activity did I choose, what self kindness did I do, and as a result of doing that, what energy shifted? How did I feel? What manifestations occurred? These are all like journal prompts, okay? What doors opened or did opportunities present themselves? Or did you maybe perhaps have a really great idea that might be an opportunity for you to step into? What happened there? So, like going back to my example, when I did the chicken soup, what did I do? I yielded 5 quarts of really good chicken broth. Number 1. Number 2, We went and I communed with my friends that I haven't seen in a while, like all my woo woo people. You know who you are. Um, and then I learned some painting techniques from Greg, which was super fun. I got to hang out with him and Roy, and then them kind of saying, "Hey, do you want to come teach classes?" So opportunities came. I created something or manifested chicken broth because it's like, that's alchemy. You throw a bunch of stuff in an Instapot and boom, you have chicken broth. Isn't it beautiful? The house smelled good. And then you put paint on canvas and you end up with a really cool painting. I made this like kind of variation on the Sicilian amulet of Medusa, which I thought was kind of cool while I was there. And got opportunity to share some classes with other folks, share my wisdom, my intuition with other folks. So kind of again back to that divine feminine energy lean in. So, I know that there are a lot of business gurus that will tell you need to hustle and grind. And yes, I will say this. Like I show up every week as 98% of the time to do this live stream. I send out my newsletter. I write my blog. So there is an element of consistent action involved. But if it doesn't feel good, then you're not supposed to do it. So I'm not over on TikTok. People have said to me, I don't know how many times you got to be on the TikTok, la 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 TikTok. Blah. It makes me nuts. I've seen it on other people's phones, and y'all, it made my anxiety go off the charts at the speed at which it moved. And I was like, that is not for me. YouTube is my jam. A blog is my jam. Facebook, Instagram, those are my jams. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm not going to ever be on the TikTok. So do not look for me over there. Um, but being consistent in spaces that feel good. And what that really means is find the places that you like to hang out yourself and then say to yourself, how, if this is my business, how can I be of service in those spaces? Like showing up here and just kind of sharing about the self care element of everything. So, bottom line for today is understand that there's a fine line between consistent soul aligned action and that hustle grind old corporate programming that is still being pushed by other gurus. So I'm going to share with you, you don't got to do that. You just got to find a consistent place that you like hanging out and just show up there and share, invite, all that kind of stuff. And in the meantime, to make sure like, you're moving at a pace that's good for you, make sure you pick out your self-care activity, commit to it through a self-kindness, like where you're writing it in the calendar, you're making that appointment. Maybe you're calling a friend and saying, "Do you want to go walk with me?" Or, "Hey, I'm going to go walk. Check in with me tomorrow. Make sure that I did it." So that you're keep being accountable to your self-kindness for your self-care. Okay? And then reflect on it. How did that help me? What happened? Was there anything interesting and fun that happened? Like I shared about the class and about making the stuff in my kitchen. So today, I know that it's counterintuitive, rather, again, counter programming. Counterintuitive is not true. Counter programming, counter to that corporate programming, but it actually is intuitive to be in self care mode. But self kindness is the partner that self care needs to get you to take that action. So self care, self kindness, reflection. Those are the 3 steps in creating alchemy of success for yourself. And also, like taking that consistent inspired action in the places that feel good to you. So I hope this week was helpful. I'm sorry the Facebook stream didn't work out. I will figure that out. This happens right around Mercury retrograde every time. So it might not be till, I don't know, September 15th till things come all the way back online, but I will try and work on it. But other than that, I'm so glad you were here. Thank you, Sharon, for hanging out. Oh, Sharon said I missed. He said, just so you know, Sharon, I think he said that Greg said he's going to do more arts and crafty kind of classes. They're doing a rock painting thing. So that's kind of cool. If you want to check that out on their website, that you might want to check out that class because it sounded pretty cool. It was fun. It was really just time to be creative. Like there wasn't a lot of like classroom instruction. Which was kind of nice because it was like, hey, he just kind of gave us examples of what to do and just kind of threw everybody out there with it and was like, just do your creative stuff. And it was really nice. And he kind of came around like, it was like being in art class in elementary school, kind of where your teacher just showed you something and then you were to do it. and they would kind of, if they were a good art teacher, they would come around and kind of like guide you and be supportive and celebratory and stuff like that. So Greg's a great teacher, but yeah, that art class thing, they have the rock one and something else coming up, which is kind of cool. So encourage you to do that. I had a good time. So anyway, I think that's it for today. And I love you guys so much. So really focus on your self-care and do some observing, like just experiment, like experiment, like, yes, you need to do your stuff and you need to do your work, your housework, your work, your woopreneur work, whatever your work is. But also give yourself that opportunity for self-care, self-kindness, reflection, and see how that changes the energy with you, with your business, in your workspace, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And see what is manifested while you are being present in the moment, because that's where the magic happens. So that's the alchemy of self care. And I love you for joining me. Thank you so much. And I guess I will see you next week for the Messy Bun Manifesting live stream. And I'll try and fix this Facebook issue. But until then, I will see you in the vortex. Have a lovely, lovely week. And I love y'all so much. Mwah. Bye, y'all. Oh, and if you're back here and you missed the whole beginning, don't worry. You can, this should do a replay like relatively shortly thereafter. So, okay, love you. Bye. Have a good rest of your day.